And welcome back. We're now going to go into our perspective viewport and zoom around. Okay, well, with this controller we now have to basically reset the X-form, which is the transform data of the actual controller. In essence, it basically prevents any scaling issues which might occur. So now that we have it selected, we're going to pop into our utilities and reset X-form. If we click that, reset selected. Now if we pop into our modify panel, we can see that X-form has been added to our modify stack. Now we actually need to collapse this, but we can't collapse it in here. What we have to do is go back into our utilities, unselect reset X-form, and then we go up to collapse. Now we can see that we're looking at collapsing the CC Messerschmitt. This is the controller here. We want to collapse it within our modifier stack, so we click that radio there. Once that's selected, we can collapse the selected. Now if we go to our modify panel, here we can see that our stack has now been collapsed. Now had we collapsed it in our modify panel here, it would have actually transferred this object as a piece of geometry, and of course that is what we don't want. Okay, now that that's done, we can now start to create some of our controllers, whether they're sliders or spinners, and we do that by going up to our modifier list, and what we're looking for is attribute holder. Here we are. We've got attribute holder, but it doesn't seem to do anything. We can't enter it and find out what's within it. So what good is it? Well, with this what we have to do is actually pop up to animation, and we're looking for parameter editor. There it is, and the hotkey is Alt 1. So we can either select it via here, or we can press Alt 1. Let's just select that for the time being. Now what we have is we don't really need to bother with this at the top at the moment. We're looking at parameter type. It's got float down as the default. If we have a quick look inside, we can see there's various options we can have: angle, array, boolean, material node. For this one what we do need is float, so select that one. A UI type, well, it's asking us what type of controller do we want to use. Do we want it as a spinner or as a slider? We're going to be requiring both of these, so we'll start off with the spinners. Now I need to give it a name. Well, the first one I want to create is fuselage roll. So what I'm doing is creating a controller, a spinner controller, that will allow me to roll the fuselage left to right. Now it's asking me what size do I want the spinner. I'm going to say on this one 100. Now the range, this is more or less working in degrees. Now I want it to roll to the left 180, so we'll say minus 180, and 2 we're going to put 180. So in all that covers 360 degrees. Now I want it to start at 0, in other words the position in which it's already in. I want the alignment to be centered. Now orientation and ticks, that works with the sliders, so we're not bothered about that at the moment. But here it's now showing me what this controller will look like. Fuselage, roll, and there it is as a spinner. We can now go add. There we go. Now we've got fuselage roll. Next I want to create another, and it's showing me now it's got parameter 26, so it's on float. Again, I want a spinner, and this time I'm going to call it fuselage pitch. So the pitch now is where I'm going to have the fuselage pitching forwards or backwards. I'll leave the width at 100, and the range, again I'll set it for -180. Yeah, we'll leave it at that with default set at 0. Again, alignment. So now down at the bottom, testing attribute is showing me fuselage pitch, and that's there, so we can say add that one. So now we've got fuselage roll, fuselage pitch. So let's move on to the next one. And this one I'm going to call fuselage trim. We'll leave it at 100. In this instance I want it going from minus, let's say 60 degrees to plus 60 degrees. Now the trim is where the tail section will move either left or to the right. Sometimes you'll see aeroplanes which are not coming in straight, the trim is just off, so it looks as though it's actually coming into land, or it's flying sideways, well, slightly sideways. So that's what that one is there. Let's say add that one. I'll just do a couple more. We want one float. This time I want it as a slider. Now you can see down at the bottom that it's already giving me a test attribute and showing me a slider with parameter 28. We'll just call this one U carriage underscore port, or the left hand side. Width 100, yes. From, in this instance I need it from 0, so let's go 0, and it comes out to about 75 degrees, so 75, and we have it okay on that alignment. But ticks, I want 2 in this instance. 1, well actually 1, so it comes out either it's up or it's down. So we'll say add to that one. Now I do need undercarriage starboard. We'll just put that one in because I can quickly go U carriage star. Everything else is the same, so we can go add. Now I want one which is for the ailerons, so let's go aileron. I'll say port. We'll leave it at 0 to 75 degrees. Default 0. Alignment is fine. This time I want ticks. Let's say 6, and we'll go add. Okay, well, I'll complete these and get back to you in a moment. And welcome back. Well, I've only added a couple more actually. Things such as the rudder, the elevator, the cockpit HUD. Now, I'd noticed that the prop speed, well, it's in the wrong place. I actually wanted that to be a little bit further up, maybe just underneath the fuselage trim. Not a problem. We can pop into our edit stroke delete section, and here we have our edit attributes or parameters, and if we go down, there we are, slider prop speed, select that, and I want to move it up. There we go, just underneath the prop speed. Now, no changes are made either here or in here, because we could edit this as well until we actually apply the changes. So if I now apply that, there we go, prop speed comes under fuselage trim. Prop speed, do I want it 100? Well, I could take that down. Let's increase it to 160. There we go. Apply changes, and there it is. It's now increased my prop speed section to 160. So we can edit any of our UI types. And UI, it basically stands for user interface. These are custom parameters that we're using, so it's to do with the user interface. I would recommend that you pop up to the help menus, type in parameter editors, and have a good read of this, because you'll find that the custom attributes are very, very powerful and helpful. So a little bit of a read there goes a long way, as they say. Okay, so let's close this down for the time being. There we are. We now have our custom attributes set up. Now we may wish to add some more to this a little bit later on, and that's not a problem, because all we do is pop up to our animation section, into the parameter editor, or hit the hotkey Alt 1. Let's now have a look in our schematic view, and here we can see that we have our CC Messerschmitt section. Okay, let's close that back down now. Well, mindful of the time, we'll continue this in the next session, so I'll catch you later.